Most everyone is aware, Chief Justice John Roberts is the head of the federal judiciary system. We are wonderfully served in Western New York by its district court. At this time, I'd like to call up the Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of New York, Chief Judge William Skretny, to provide welcoming remarks. And as he comes forward, Chief Judge, I also would like everybody to know that he was the driving force behind the process of naming the new federal district courthouse in Buffalo after Robert H. Jackson, and for that we are eternally grateful. Chief Judge Skretny.
Thank you very much, Greg. Before I begin my short remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all owe a special acknowledgement to Greg Peterson for having the foresight to invite the Chief Justice Roberts to this event, and he did that 7 years ago. And the Chief Justice's visit would not have happened without Greg's forward thinking. Greg, we can't thank you enough for what you've done. Thank you. You know, I don't know if you've ever been fated for forward thinking before, Greg, but you know, I'm glad we can do that this evening. I would also like, ladies and gentlemen, to acknowledge all those at the Robert H. Jackson Center in Jamestown who helped make this dinner and tomorrow's events at the center a reality. Thank you, all of you, for your efforts in that regard. Let's acknowledge them with a round of applause. And I want to, this evening, especially thank all of you for coming. It truly is my pleasure to welcome you to this beautiful and historic Athenaeum Hotel, which is, of course, nested inside the unparalleled Chautauqua Institution. Aesthetically charming and intellectually invigorating, this venerable institution has hosted presidents from Ulysses S. Grant to Bill Clinton, and will this summer host our distinguished and honored guest, colleague, Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and we're looking forward to that. And what's more, Justice Jackson, whose connection to Chief Justice Roberts we celebrate tonight, frequented this institution as a boy. And later, Justice Jackson was beside President Franklin Roosevelt when he delivered his famous "I Hate War" speech at the Chautauqua Amphitheater, I think in 1936. And later still, Justice Jackson addressed the crowds himself as a speaker. Plain and simple, there is no better venue for this evening's proceeding than right here at the Athenaeum. My somewhat enviable task this evening is to welcome Chief Justice Roberts to Chautauqua. But in doing so, I would also like to welcome the Chief Justice's erstwhile former partner at Hogan Lovells and one of the best appellate lawyers in the country, E. Barrett Prettyman, Jr. Mr. Prettyman, would you be acknowledged, please? And as we talked just briefly, we are all looking forward to your conversation with Greg and the Chief Justice later in the program. So from all of us to you, welcome to Chautauqua and Western New York. And now, ladies and gentlemen, speaking for the federal judges in the Western District of New York, I would like to welcome home our Chief Justice. It is a pleasure and an immense honor to welcome you to Western New York once again. I last met the Chief Justice back in October of 2010, when he was kind enough to gather with the judges for an informal breakfast at the Midday Club, if you will remember, in the city of Buffalo. And what I expected would be a law-related discussion. But rather than discuss pressing legal issues or matters of court administration, the Chief Justice was interested in us, our families, and our community. And I particularly enjoyed the Chief Justice's views on his children's homework. Too much of it, he thought, but maybe that was because he was conscripted to help them with it. We never found that out. The Chief Justice at the time emphasized the importance of getting kids to think, really think, instead of simply memorize. And that topic loosely touches on one of the many reasons we assemble here tonight, to celebrate two of the court's most prominent thinkers and their connections to Western New York. As you may know, the Chief Justice was born in our backyard, I think Hamburg, New York. Mr. Chief Justice, perhaps you already suspect this, but we like to think that it has something to do with the water in this area. The Niagara River or Lake Erie, or maybe even the beautiful Chautauqua Lake right here, that led to your rise to the very top of the legal world. This region is passionate about its history and its native sons and daughters. We recognize and commemorate our own. We read Joyce Carol Oates with knowing comfort, and we laugh at reruns of I Love Lucy with pride. And it is in this spirit, Mr. Chief Justice, that we welcome you here this evening. And it is in the same spirit that we have designated our new Buffalo Federal Courthouse the Robert H. Jackson United States Courthouse. Justice Jackson, like Chief Justice Roberts, has ties to Buffalo, as most of you know. He was a member of the Bar of Western New York, the Western District. In fact, you can come to visit us and see his signature in the rolls. And he worked for a time at a law firm in downtown Buffalo. As Justice Jackson's preeminent biographer, Professor John Q. Barrett, who's here this evening with us, has determined, Justice Jackson's path from his Buffalo residence to the Ellicott Square building where he worked took him right through the very spot where the new Buffalo Courthouse stands. So Justice Jackson's name will be affixed and adorn the front of the building, and his footprints ingrained beneath it. And that is an especially fitting image for tonight, because I know Justice Jackson has left his imprint on Chief Justice Roberts, who has called Justice Jackson one of the best writers the court has ever had, and who has praised Justice Jackson for his discerning and enduring concurrence in the Youngstown Steel case, which today remains the definitive approach to the parameters of presidential power. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with that thought. A Western New York native and Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, emulating another Western New York native and Justice of the Supreme Court. And maybe, just maybe, there is something in the water after all. So with that in mind, I encourage you all to drink up, of course, water, eat heartily, and enjoy what I'm certain will be a fascinating, educating, and captivating evening for all. Thank you very much.